You're sitting in your airplane seat right now, or you've sat in one recently. You pull down that table to set your drink on it. You use that little pillow they gave you. You touched the seatbelt buckle, the armrest, the air vent above your head. You used the bathroom. You drank coffee or tea that the flight attendant served you. And here's what you need to know. Almost everything you touched was absolutely filthy, covered in bacteria, viruses, and germs that would make you sick if you saw them under a microscope. I'm not being dramatic or trying to scare you for clicks. I'm talking about real laboratory studies conducted by microbiologists who actually swabbed airplane surfaces and tested them. The results are genuinely shocking, and some of them will make you never want to touch certain things on a plane again without protection. Today we're going deep into the science of just how disgusting airplanes really are, why they're so dirty, what the dirtiest spots are ranked from bad to horrifying, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself on your next flight. Trust me, you'll want to remember this information next time you fly. Let's get into it. Before we get to the rankings of the dirtiest spots, we need to understand why airplanes are such breeding grounds for bacteria and viruses in the first place. There are several factors that make planes uniquely filthy environments. First, the turnaround time. When a plane lands, the airline has maybe 30 to 45 minutes before it needs to take off again with new passengers. In that short window, the crew has to get passengers off, get new passengers on, restock supplies, do safety checks, refuel, and somehow clean the entire cabin. There simply isn't enough time to do a thorough deep clean. The cleaning crews that come on board are working at lightning speed. They're picking up obvious trash, maybe doing a quick vacuum of the floors, wiping down the most visible surfaces, and that's about it. They're not scrubbing every surface. They're not disinfecting seatbelts. They're not cleaning air vents. They're doing the bare minimum to make the plane look presentable, not to make it actually clean. This happens flight after flight after flight, day after day. A single airplane might do 6 or 7 flights in one day, carrying over 1,000 different people, and it only gets that quick surface cleaning between each flight. Second, think about the number of people touching the same surfaces. A typical narrow-body airplane like a Boeing 737 or Airbus A320 seats around 150 to 180 passengers. That plane might do 6 flights a day. That's over 1,000 people using the same bathrooms, touching the same armrests, pulling down the same tray tables, using the same seat pockets every single day. And these are people who just wash their hands. These are people coming from all over, some of them sick, some of them with poor hygiene, all of them touching everything. Studies have shown that a single sick passenger on a plane can contaminate dozens of surfaces within minutes. Those surfaces then infect other passengers who touch them. It's a perfect transmission system for germs. Third, they're inside a plane. You probably heard that airplane air is actually pretty clean because it's filtered through HEPA filters that remove most bacteria and viruses. That's partially true. The air that's pumped into the cabin is filtered. But here's what they don't tell you. The air is also recirculated. About half the air in the cabin is fresh from outside, and half is recirculated air from the cabin itself. So you're breathing a mix of fresh filtered air and air that your fellow passengers have been breathing, coughing, and sneezing into. The HEPA filters help, but they're not perfect, especially for larger particles like the droplets from a cough or sneeze. Those can stay in the air for a while before settling on surfaces. Fourth, the materials used in airplane interiors are chosen for weight, durability, and fire resistance, not for how easy they are to clean or how resistant they are to bacteria. The fabric on seats, the leather on armrests, the plastic on tray tables, all of these materials can harbor bacteria in their pores and crevices. Fabric is especially bad because bacteria can live in the fibers for days or even weeks. And unlike a hotel room where sheets are changed after every guest, airplane seats are never deep cleaned or reupholstered unless they're visibly damaged. That seat you're sitting in has been sat in by thousands of people before you, and it's never been truly sanitized. Fifth, there's the human factor. People do disgusting things on airplanes that they wouldn't do elsewhere. They take off their shoes and socks and put their bare feet on the seat in front of them, or even on the walls. They change babies' diapers on the tray table. Yes, this really happens, and flight attendants have confirmed it. They clip their toenails. They stick gum under seats. They shove trash into seat pockets. They use the bathroom and don't wash their hands. They're sick and coughing without covering their mouths. Airplane cabins bring out some of the worst hygiene behaviors in people, Maybe because they feel like they're in a temporary anonymous space where normal rules don't apply. All of these factors combine to make airplanes incredibly dirty environments. Now let's talk about exactly which parts are the worst. Microbiologists from various universities and research organizations have conducted multiple studies where they swab different surfaces on airplanes and then culture those swabs in laboratories to see what grows. They measure the colony-forming units, or CFUs, which is basically a count of how many bacteria are present. For context, a typical toilet seat in your home has around 50 CFUs per square inch. That's our baseline for comparison. Now let's rank the dirtiest airplane surfaces from bad to absolutely horrifying. Starting at number 12, the seatbelt buckle. This might surprise you because it's not as dirty as you'd think, but it's still concerning. Studies found that seatbelt buckles have around 230 CFUs per square inch. That's almost 5 times dirtier than a toilet seat. Think about it, everyone who sits in that seat touches that buckle, often right after they've been touching other contaminated surfaces or using the bathroom. The buckles are rarely, if ever, wiped down by cleaning crews. They're metal or plastic materials where bacteria can survive. You click that buckle when you sit down, you unclick it multiple times during the flight, you click it again for landing. Your fingers are all over it. And if the person before you was sick, there's a good chance some of their germs are now on your hands. Number 11, the overhead air vent. You know that little adjustable nozzle above your seat that you twist to direct air onto your face? Studies found around 285 CFUs per square inch on those vents. Everyone touches them, twisting them open, closed, adjusting the direction. They're never cleaned. And here's the gross part. You're directing air from a vent covered in bacteria right onto your face, where you're breathing it in. Some people actually get sick because they point the vent at themselves without realizing it's contaminated. Number 10, the armrests. These have around 330 CFUs per square inch according to research. Armrests are constantly touched, leaned on, grabbed, and they're often made of leather or vinyl that has tiny cracks where bacteria hide. If you're in a middle seat fighting for armrest space, you're sharing bacteria with your neighbors. People rest their heads on armrests when they sleep, they put their hands all over them, and cleaning crews usually just give them a quick wipe if that. The bacteria accumulates flight after flight. Number 9, the window shade. Coming in at around 400 CFUs per square inch. Everyone who sits in a window seat touches that shade, pulling it up and down multiple times during the flight. Kids especially love playing with window shades. It's a small plastic surface that never gets cleaned and gets touched constantly. If you're sitting in a window seat, you probably touch the shade without thinking about it, then you touch your face and congratulations, you've just transferred hundreds of bacteria to your mouth, nose, or eyes. Number 8, the lavatory door handle. Now we're getting into the really gross territory. The bathroom door handle, both inside and outside, has around 500 CFUs per square inch. Think about what happens in an airplane bathroom. People use the toilet, and let's be honest, airplane bathrooms are tiny and difficult to use properly. There's splashing, there's mess, there's often urine on the floor or seat. Then people touch the toilet, touch the sink, touch the door handle to get out, often without washing their hands because the sinks are awkward or they're in a hurry. Every person who uses that bathroom touches the door handle, coming and going. The cleaning crews might wipe it down once or twice during a long flight, but with hundreds of people using that bathroom, it's constantly recontaminated. Studies have found fecal bacteria on lavatory door handles, which means exactly what you think it means. When you touch that handle, you're touching traces of other people's waste. Number 7, the bathroom flush button. This one clocks in at around 600 CFUs per square inch. The button you press to flush the airplane toilet is right there next to the toilet bowl, often at about the same height, which means it gets splashed when the toilet flushes. That powerful vacuum flush creates a spray of water and waste particles that land on everything nearby, including that button. And then you press the button with your finger, often before you wash your hands. Flight attendants have said that bathroom flush buttons are one of the things they personally never touch without tissue paper as a barrier. Number 6, the seat pocket. Here's where things get really disturbing. Studies have found around 700 CFUs per square inch in airplane seat pockets, but that's almost misleading because it's not just bacteria, it's also the variety of disgusting things found in seat pockets. Flight attendants have reported finding dirty diapers, used tissues full of mucus, vomit bags that were used but not sealed properly, toenail clippings, food waste, and even underwear in seat pockets. People treat seat pockets like garbage cans. When researchers have looked inside seat pockets, they found E. coli, fecal bacteria, mold, and other pathogens. The fabric lining of seat pockets is rarely cleaned, and because it's a pocket, dirt and germs accumulate in the bottom where they're protected and can multiply. If you stick your hand in a seat pocket to grab the safety card or a magazine, you're potentially touching all of that. The magazines themselves are also filthy because they're handled by hundreds of people and never cleaned. Flight attendants often advise passengers to never put anything in seat pockets that they plan to use later, like phones or snacks, because the pockets are so contaminated. Number 5. The bathroom sink and faucet. Around 800 CFUs per square inch. The airplane bathroom sink is where people wash their hands after using the toilet, which sounds good, but here's the problem. The sink and faucet themselves are filthy. The faucet handle or button is touched by people before they wash their hands, so it's contaminated with whatever was on their hands, including fecal matter. The sink basin catches splash from the faucet and from people washing up, and it has crevices where bacteria grow. Water sits in the sink and doesn't drain perfectly, creating a moist environment where bacteria thrive. And the sink is rarely sanitized properly. You think you're washing your hands and getting clean, but you're touching contaminated surfaces while you do it, potentially recontaminating yourself. Studies have found that airplane bathroom sinks have more bacteria than the toilet seats in the same bathroom, which is absolutely backwards from what you'd expect. Number 4. The tray table. This is the big one that most people know about because it's been widely reported. Tray tables have around 2,000 CFUs per square inch, making them 40 times dirtier than a toilet seat. Let that sink in for a moment. The surface you eat off of is 40 times dirtier than a toilet. Why are they so filthy? Because everyone uses them, and they're almost never properly cleaned. People eat off tray tables, spilling food and drinks that create sticky residue where bacteria thrive. Parents change babies' diapers on tray tables. Yes, really, transferring fecal bacteria directly onto the surface. People rest their bare feet on tray tables if they're flexible enough to reach. People with colds and flu cough and sneeze onto their tray tables. And between flights, the cleaning crew does not wipe down every tray table with disinfectant. Researchers who tested tray tables found E. coli, which comes from fecal contamination, meaning someone touched the tray table after wiping themselves in the bathroom without washing their hands properly, or a baby was changed there. They found antibiotic-resistant bacteria called MRSA, which can cause serious skin infections. They found mold and yeast. They found cold and flu viruses that can survive on the plastic surface for hours or even days. When you pull down your tray table and set your sandwich or your tablet on it, you're potentially exposing yourself to all of this. Number 3. The headrest and seat back. Around 2,200 CFUs per square inch. People lean their heads, faces, and hands against seat backs constantly. If you're in the row behind someone, you're looking at the back of their seat the entire flight, and you probably touch it when you get up or adjust your position. Kids touch and kick seat backs. The fabric covering absorbs sweat, oil from hair and skin, and bacteria from hands. People sneeze and cough towards seat backs, and these are never deep cleaned or sanitized. The fabric might be vacuumed to remove visible dirt, but the bacteria living deep in the fibers stay there. Over months and years, seats accumulate layers of contamination. When you rest your head against your seat or lean forward and touch the seat in front of you, you're making contact with all of that history. Number 2, the blankets and pillows. If they're still offered on your flight, these come in at a horrifying 2,500 CFUs per square inch. Airlines used to provide fresh blankets and pillows sealed in plastic for every flight. Budget cuts changed that. Now many airlines collect the blankets and pillows after a flight, fold them up, and put them back on the plane for the next flight. They're not washed or replaced between every flight, sometimes not for days. Studies have found that airline blankets and pillows contain bacteria, fungi, E. coli, yeast, mold, and even head lice and bedbugs in some cases. You're putting something directly against your face and body that dozens or hundreds of other people have used without it being washed. The fabric absorbs everything: sweat, drool, skin cells, bacteria from sick passengers. Some passengers have reported getting rashes or infections after using airline blankets. Flight attendants have said they personally would never use an airline blanket or pillow unless it's visibly sealed in new plastic packaging, and even then, they're suspicious about when it was actually last washed. If you want a blanket or pillow on a flight, bring your own from home that you know is clean. And now, the number one dirtiest place on an airplane, the absolute worst surface you can touch, the bathroom toilet flush button. No, we already covered that. The tray table. No, that was number 4. The actual winner or loser is the floor under your seat and around the bathroom area. Testing has shown over 2,700 CFUs per square inch on airplane floors, but honestly, the CFU count doesn't even capture how disgusting airplane floors really are. Think about what happens on an airplane floor. Hundreds of people walk on it with shoes that have been who knows where. People spill drinks, drop food, track in mud and dirt from outside. In the bathroom area, there's often urine splashed on the floor because the airplane movement makes it hard to aim and the bathroom is tiny. People walk through that urine in their socks or bare feet, then walk it through the cabin. Some passengers take off their shoes and walk around in socks or barefoot, directly contacting the floor. Studies have found fecal bacteria, E. coli, viruses, mold, and all sorts of pathogens on airplane floors. If you drop something on the floor during a flight, it's contaminated. Don't pick it up and use it unless you can thoroughly wash it first. Don't ever walk barefoot or in socks on an airplane floor. Don't set your personal bag or a backpack on the floor if you can avoid it, because the bottom of your bag will pick up everything on that floor and then you'll carry it home. Now you might be thinking, okay, airplanes are dirty, but I fly all the time and I've never gotten seriously sick, so does it really matter? The answer is yes, it absolutely matters, and here's why. First, you probably have gotten sick from flying and just didn't realize it. Studies have shown that you're over 100 times more likely to catch a cold or flu on an airplane than you are in your normal daily life. That cold you got a few days after your vacation, there's a very good chance you caught it on the airplane. The confined space, the recirculated air, the contaminated surfaces, the proximity to sick passengers, all create a perfect storm for disease transmission. But because cold and flu symptoms don't show up immediately, usually taking a day or two to develop, you don't make the connection between the flight and the illness. You think you caught it at your destination or from someone at home. But research has tracked disease transmission and found that airplanes are major vectors for spreading illness, especially during flu season. Second, it's not just colds and flu. More serious diseases can be transmitted on airplanes. There have been documented cases of tuberculosis, measles, and even COVID-19 spreading on flights. One sick passenger can infect many others. During the COVID pandemic, multiple flights became super spreader events where dozens of people got infected from one person. The bacteria and viruses on airplane surfaces can survive for hours or days. A virus like influenza can live on hard surfaces like tray tables and armrests for 24 to 48 hours. Norovirus, which causes stomach flu, can survive on surfaces for days or even weeks. MRSA bacteria can live on surfaces for months. So when you touch a contaminated surface, you're potentially exposing yourself to pathogens from passengers who were on that plane hours or days before you. Third, repeated exposure matters. If you fly frequently for business or pleasure, you're repeatedly exposing yourself to these germs. Your immune system can handle occasional exposure, but constant exposure wears it down. Frequent flyers often report that they get sick more often than they did before they started flying regularly. This isn't coincidence, it's cause and effect. The repeated contact with airplane germs overwhelms your body's defenses. Fourth, some people are more vulnerable than others. If you have a weakened immune system due to age, illness, medication, or other factors, exposure to airplane germs can make you seriously ill. Elderly passengers, young children, pregnant women, people with chronic illnesses, people undergoing chemotherapy, these groups are at higher risk of catching infections from contaminated airplane surfaces. What might be a minor cold for a healthy adult could be pneumonia for someone with a compromised immune system. Fifth, antibiotic-resistant bacteria are a growing concern. Remember how I mentioned that MRSA has been found on airplane surfaces? MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, and it's a type of bacteria that doesn't respond to common antibiotics. If you get an MRSA infection, it's difficult to treat and can be dangerous. Other antibiotic-resistant bacteria have also been found on airplanes. These superbugs are a serious public health threat, and airplanes help spread them around the world. A passenger carrying antibiotic-resistant bacteria can contaminate surfaces on a flight from New York to London, and then passengers on that plane can carry those bacteria to their homes in dozens of different cities, spreading the resistant strain globally. This is actually how disease outbreaks spread so quickly in the modern world. Air travel is the vehicle. Now we need to talk about something that might be even more disturbing than the dirty surfaces: the water on airplanes. I'm not talking about the bottled water they sell you. I'm talking about the water that comes from the airplane's tanks, the water used to make coffee and tea, the water in the bathroom sinks, even sometimes the water used for ice cubes. Multiple studies and investigations by organizations including the EPA and various consumer groups have tested water from airplane tanks, and the results are genuinely horrifying. Tests have found E. coli in airplane water supplies, indicating fecal contamination. They found total coliform bacteria, which shouldn't be in drinking water at all. They found other harmful bacteria and pathogens. In one major study conducted by the EPA, they tested water from the tanks of over 300 different aircraft from major airlines. The results showed that 15% of the planes tested had water supplies that didn't meet federal safety standards for drinking water. 15%. That's 1 out of every 7 planes. The water had levels of bacteria that made it unsafe to drink. How does this happen? Airplane water is stored in tanks that are filled at airports before the flight. The water comes from airport water supplies, which should be clean, but the problem is the tanks themselves and the plumbing lines that carry the water from the tanks to the sinks and the coffee makers. These tanks and lines are dark, damp, and difficult to clean properly. They're a perfect environment for bacteria to grow. The tanks should be regularly disinfected and flushed, but maintenance on airplane water systems is often inadequate. Some airlines do a better job than others, but testing has found problems across multiple carriers. The water sits in these tanks for hours or days, and bacteria multiply. Then that water is used to make the coffee and tea that flight attendants serve you. It's used in the bathroom sinks where you wash your hands or splash water on your face. On some older aircraft, it's even used to make ice for cold drinks, though most modern planes use packaged ice for this exact reason. Flight attendants themselves know about this problem. Many flight attendants refuse to drink coffee or tea on their own flights, preferring bottled water instead. They know what the studies have shown. They know the water isn't reliably safe. When a flight attendant tells you they never drink the coffee, that should tell you something. So what should you do about airplane water? The answer is simple: don't consume it. Don't drink coffee or tea on airplanes unless you see them made with bottled water. And honestly, most airlines don't do that. Don't drink tap water from the bathroom sink. Don't brush your teeth with water from the airplane bathroom unless you use bottled water. Don't accept ice in your drinks unless you're sure it's made from packaged ice and not from the airplane's water supply. Stick to canned or bottled beverages that are sealed. If you want coffee or tea, wait until you land and buy it at the airport or at your destination. Yes, this might seem paranoid, but when federal testing shows that 15% of planes have contaminated water, it's not paranoia, it's being smart. The airlines know about this problem. The FAA knows about it. There have been regulations implemented requiring better maintenance of water systems and more frequent testing, but enforcement is spotty and problems persist. Until airplane water systems are completely overhauled and proven safe through independent testing, the safest choice is to avoid airplane water entirely. Alright, I've thoroughly grossed you out and probably made you never want to fly again. But flying is often necessary, and now that you know the problems, let's talk about solutions. How can you protect yourself from the disgusting reality of airplane germs? It's actually not that complicated if you follow some basic rules. First and most important, bring disinfecting wipes and use them aggressively. The moment you sit down, before you touch anything else, take out a disinfecting wipe and clean every surface around your seat. Wipe down the tray table thoroughly, front and back. Wipe the armrests on both sides. Wipe the seatbelt buckle. Wipe the air vent control. Wipe the headrest if it's plastic or vinyl. Wipe the screen if you have a personal entertainment system. Wipe the window if you're in a window seat. Wipe anything you might touch during the flight. Use multiple wipes if you need to. Don't try to clean everything with one wipe that gets dirty. Studies have shown that properly disinfecting your immediate area reduces your risk of getting sick from surface contamination by over 80%. That's huge. The best wipes to use are alcohol-based disinfecting wipes, the kind that are at least 60% alcohol, because alcohol kills most bacteria and viruses quickly. Brand names like Clorox or Lysol wipes work great, or you can buy generic versions. Buy a travel size pack that fits in your carry-on. Do not rely on the airline to provide wipes. Some airlines have started offering them, but not all do, and supplies can run out. Second, never ever touch your face during a flight without washing your hands first. This is how most germs enter your body. You touch a contaminated surface, then you touch your mouth, nose, or eyes, and the bacteria or virus gets inside you. It's called the fecal-oral route, and it's the primary way diseases spread. Every time you touch something on the plane, assume it's contaminated. Don't rub your eyes. Don't touch your lips. Don't put your fingers in your mouth. If you need to touch your face, use a tissue or wash your hands first. Third, use hand sanitizer obsessively. Keep a small bottle of hand sanitizer in your pocket or easily accessible in your bag. Use it frequently throughout the flight. After you touch the tray table, sanitize. After you use the bathroom, wash your hands with soap and water if possible, then also use hand sanitizer afterwards for extra protection. After you touch the seatbelt, sanitize. After you flip through the in-flight magazine, sanitize. The more you use hand sanitizer, the more you reduce the germs on your hands that can make you sick. Look for hand sanitizer that's at least 60% alcohol. That's the concentration that effectively kills germs. Higher is better. Some sanitizers are 70 or even 80% alcohol. Gel or liquid form both work fine. Use whichever you prefer. Fourth, be extremely careful in the airplane bathroom. We already established that bathrooms are disgusting, so minimize your contact with surfaces. Don't touch anything you don't absolutely have to. Use a paper towel or tissue as a barrier between your hand and the door handle, both when you go in and when you leave. Use paper towel to touch the flush button. If you need to steady yourself on the walls because of turbulence, use your elbow or shoulder, not your bare hand. Don't set anything down on any surface in the bathroom, not your phone, not your wallet, nothing. Keep everything in your pockets. After you wash your hands, use a paper towel to turn off the faucet so you don't recontaminate your clean hands. Use another paper towel to open the door. Yes, you'll go through several paper towels, but it's worth it. Fifth, about that seat pocket in front of you. Don't use it. Don't put anything in there that you care about. Don't reach inside blindly. If you absolutely must put something in the seat pocket, put it inside a plastic bag first to create a barrier. Better yet, just avoid the seat pocket entirely. Keep your belongings in your personal item bag under the seat in front of you or in the overhead bin. If you need to look at the safety card or the in-flight magazine, handle them as little as possible and sanitize your hands afterwards. Sixth, bring your own blanket and pillow if you need them. Don't use the airline-provided ones unless they're sealed in plastic and you're confident they're fresh. A small travel blanket and inflatable or compressible pillow don't take up much space in your carry-on, and you'll know they're clean because they're yours. Seventh, don't walk around a plane barefoot or in socks. Always keep your shoes on. The floors are filthy as we discussed. If you want to be comfortable, bring clean slippers or slide-on shoes that you only wear on the plane, then put them away before you leave so you don't track airplane floor germs into your home. Eighth, be strategic about food. Don't set food directly on the tray table, even if you wiped it down. Use a napkin or paper towel as an extra barrier. Better yet, bring your own food in sealed containers rather than eating airplane food. If you do eat airplane food, make sure the package is sealed when they give it to you. Don't eat the snacks like peanuts or pretzels if the bag has been opened. Ninth, stay hydrated with bottled water. Dehydration weakens your immune system and makes you more susceptible to getting sick. Drink plenty of water during the flight, but only bottled water that you see open in front of you. Bring an empty reusable water bottle through security and fill it at a water fountain or bottle filling station in the terminal after security. That way you have clean water for the flight without buying expensive bottles. 10th, boost your immune system before you fly. In the days leading up to your flight, make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy food with lots of vitamins, and staying hydrated. Take vitamin C supplements if you want, though the science is mixed on whether it actually prevents colds. The point is to have your immune system at full strength so it can fight off any germs you're exposed to during the flight. 11th, if you're sick, please don't fly. This one is about being considerate to others. If you have a cold, flu, stomach bug, or any contagious illness, postpone your flight if at all possible. When sick people fly, they spread their germs to everyone around them, contaminating surfaces and making other passengers sick. I know sometimes you can't avoid flying when you're sick. Maybe it's an emergency or you can't change your ticket, but if you can postpone, please do. And if you must fly while sick, be extra careful about hygiene. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue or your elbow, not your hands. Throw away used tissues immediately. Sanitize your hands constantly. Wear a mask to reduce the spread of droplets. Don't touch shared surfaces more than necessary. Be as responsible as possible. The trade-off is that if you need to use the bathroom, you have to climb over people. But if you can minimize bathroom trips by staying hydrated before the flight and limiting drinks during the flight, a window seat is your safest bet. 14th, shower and wash your clothes as soon as you get home from a flight. Don't sit on your furniture or get into your bed in the clothes you wore on the plane. Those clothes have been touching airplane seats and armrests and picking up germs. Wash them immediately. Take a shower to wash off anything that got on your skin or in your hair. This prevents you from spreading airplane germs throughout your home. Now let's talk about what airlines should be doing but often aren't. Because the responsibility for cleanliness shouldn't fall entirely on passengers, airlines need to step up. First, they need to allow adequate turnaround time for proper cleaning between flights. The current system where planes are turned around in 30 minutes is not sufficient for real sanitization. Airlines prioritize speed over cleanliness because every minute a plane sits on the ground is money lost. But this false economy comes at the cost of passenger health and safety. A proper deep clean of an aircraft cabin should take at least an hour. This should happen multiple times per day, not just overnight. Airlines won't do this voluntarily because it hurts their bottom line, so regulatory agencies need to mandate it. Second, airlines need to use hospital-grade disinfectants on high-touch surfaces, not just basic cleaning products. Tray tables, armrests, seat belts, bathrooms, all of these should be disinfected with products proven to kill bacteria and viruses between every flight. The EPA has approved lists of disinfectants that are effective against pathogens. Airlines should be required to use these products and prove they're using them through regular inspections. Third, airplane water systems need to be completely overhauled. The current system where water sits in tanks that are inadequately maintained is unacceptable. Airlines should either switch to using only bottled water for everything, or they should install new water purification systems that ensure the water is safe. The tanks and plumbing should be cleaned and disinfected on a strict schedule, and the water should be tested frequently by independent third parties, not just by the airlines themselves. Fourth, seat fabrics and materials should be replaced regularly, not just when they're visibly worn out. Fabric seats should be deep cleaned or reupholstered at least once a year. Leather and vinyl surfaces should be treated with antimicrobial coatings that inhibit bacterial growth. Airlines should invest in materials that are inherently more resistant to bacteria. Fifth, better air filtration systems should be standard on all aircraft. While HEPA filters are good, newer technology exists that can kill pathogens in the air using UV light. These systems should be installed to provide an extra layer of protection. Sixth, airlines should provide disinfecting wipes to every passenger automatically, not make passengers bring their own or request them. A small packet of wipes placed at every seat would cost airlines pennies per passenger, but would dramatically improve hygiene. Seventh, there should be transparency about cleaning practices. Airlines should publicly report their cleaning protocols and schedule, and this information should be audited by independent inspectors. Passengers have a right to know how the plane they're boarding has been cleaned. If airlines were required to post this information, they'd be incentivized to actually improve their practices rather than just claiming they're clean. Will airlines do any of this voluntarily? Probably not, because it costs money and they're already operating on thin profit margins in many cases. But passenger pressure can make a difference. If enough people demand cleaner planes and refuse to fly on airlines with poor hygiene standards, the market will respond. If regulatory agencies enforce stricter cleaning requirements, airlines will have to comply. The COVID pandemic actually did lead to some improvements. Many airlines stepped up their cleaning during that time and touted their enhanced protocols. Some of those improvements have stuck around, but many have been quietly scaled back as the pandemic faded from public concern. We can't let that happen. The germs didn't go away just because COVID fear went away. Airplanes are still dirty. The standards need to be permanent, not just crisis responses. So the next time you fly, pay attention to the cleanliness of the cabin. If it's obviously dirty, complain to the airline. Take photos. Post on social media. Leave reviews. Airlines care about their reputation, and public pressure works. If enough passengers make noise about dirty planes, airlines will be forced to take action. So there you have it, the complete and honestly pretty disgusting truth about airplane cleanliness. Your tray table is 40 times dirtier than a toilet seat. The seat pocket is full of bacteria and worse things. The blankets and pillows are reused without washing. The water is contaminated with E. coli. The floors are covered in filth, including fecal bacteria. The bathrooms are exactly as gross as you imagined, and probably worse. Every surface you touch has been touched by hundreds of people before you, many of whom were sick, and those surfaces are rarely, if ever, properly disinfected. It's not a pretty picture. But you're not helpless. You now know what the problems are, you understand why airplanes are so dirty, and you have concrete steps you could take to protect yourself. Bring disinfecting wipes and use them on every surface. Use hand sanitizer constantly. Don't touch your face. Be careful in the bathroom. Don't use the seat pocket. Don't drink the water or coffee or tea. Bring your own blanket and pillow. Wash up as soon as you get home. These simple steps dramatically reduce your risk of getting sick from airplane germs. Yes, it requires a little extra effort and planning, but the alternative is getting sick, and nobody wants that, especially not on vacation or a business trip. The next time you board a plane, you'll see it differently. That tray table isn't just a convenient surface, it's a petri dish of bacteria. That cozy blanket isn't comfort, it's a biohazard. That cup of coffee isn't refreshment, it's potentially contaminated water. But you'll also be prepared. You'll have your wipes and sanitizer ready. You'll know what to avoid and how to protect yourself. Knowledge is power, and now you have the knowledge to fly safely despite the disgusting reality of airplane hygiene. Will the aviation industry eventually fix these problems? Maybe if passengers demand it loudly enough and regulations force them to. Until then, you're responsible for your own health on flights. Be smart, be prepared, and stay clean out there. Thanks for watching and safe travels. Just make sure to wipe down your seat first.